another tax increase. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your hashtag not sponsored cheap coffee, and let's have a look at this article, because once again, we've got another tax increase, guys. Aussies to pay more for booze. Now, I know drinking isn't the healthiest thing to do, but occasionally I like to have, a beer or a rum. Now, it's so infrequent that for me to go to the bottle-o, I nearly have a heart attack every time I see how much alcohol costs. And for those of you that aren't aware, a huge portion of that money you're handing over is in taxes. We're the little government's tax bitch. We're their herd of cattle they farm. It really seems like it, doesn't it? For taxes. And here you go. Another tax. So you can't, cost of living is driving you nuts. You're working harder than ever before. You're flat out. You want to go home, chill with a beer, maybe play a computer game, watch a movie with the missus, play with the kids, relax, and you're going to be stung with a little bit more money. It's the Australian way, isn't it? Tax, tax, tax. Well, it seems to be the Labor way, doesn't it? So, not that Liberals are any better with this. Monday marks another hike in the price of booze as a tax rise is pushed onto businesses and consumers. I think I saw another article recently discussing all of these micro-breweries that are just collapsing. They can't afford with business costs. We went out yesterday. Yesterday, I had a crazy week with a lot of work, and so after my meeting, we decided to go out for lunch with the kids. And I went to, Beach House, one of these brand places in the shopping center, and we got the kids a kids meal. One thing I noticed was now that the little ice cream and drink are separate. They used to be included in the kids meal. Now they're a separate purchase. So I just get them a jug of soft drink, spoil them occasionally. And I had a look at the steaks. I thought, okay, Rachel, we'll get a nice steak, and $40 for each one. $40. So I had to jump through 50 hoops to get the members discount on the tiny rump. But everything's getting expensive. Going out is getting expensive. Maybe rather than increasing these taxes, we should look at reducing some of the government services that we don't want to use, and I'm sure there's plenty of them, and reduce this burden on the average Aussie, the little relaxing joys that people have. Taxes on beers and spirits effectively gone up 2% on Monday. Twice a year, the ATO looks at the Consumer Price Index to see how much the cost of everything has changed, and the tax excise duty, yes, it's a tax on alcohol produced here, is increased if the CPI has gone up. There are different excise costs for beer, products with less than 10% alcohol, and then spirits and other excisable beverages with more than 10% of alcohol. Wine is subject to a different tax. So you can see here we've got the reason they tax these products is the same reason they tax petrol and they tax cigarettes. It's because it's quite sticky. You can increase the costs of it, and people still want to consume these products. Alcoholic beverages provide, for most people, they're a way to relax and forget about your troubles, live in the moment. Now, excessive alcohol consumption, or where you're becoming a borderline alcoholic, can be a problem. I remember talking to one of my mates, and he admitted he was pretty much a functioning alcoholic during his university days with how much he was drinking. And, okay, maybe in your 20s you can handle a bit more than in your older years, but it's not healthy, and it's not something I condone. But even just having a beer with mates is costing insane amounts. Let's take a step back. With all of these costs going up, are you still going to have a bunch of mates meeting up in person, building relationships, and doing a round at the pub? Around here, having a relax, chilling with your friends, building friendships. Is that still going to happen? The younger generation are less inclined to drink alcohol. And I guess, it's not healthy, but that social aspect has an important value to it too. Could this be why you've got a whole generation of incels? It's getting, well, not the whole generation, but a huge amount of them. The tax on making a keg of mid-strength beer has risen from $32 to $33 to $32.98. Each keg of full strength now costs the manufacturer $43.22, up from $42.37. Just under half the price of a carton of beer is tax. Okay, half the price of a carton of beer is tax. I think One Nation did a fantastic cartoon about these taxes. A lot of people don't realize, they don't appreciate how much we're actually taxed. They don't understand. It's all hidden in these other terms, a levy here, this there. It's a huge amount that you pay for all these services. Are you getting your money's worth? Are you really getting your money's worth? You've got hospital ramping here in Queensland, the ambulances. Are you getting the education quality that you expect? Are the roads maintained as well as you want? Is our defence as adequate? Is the policing to the standard that you want? So, the excise tax will tack roughly an extra $1 onto the price of a slab. The latest data shows hospitality businesses are facing financially strained operating conditions. 1 in every 13 Aussie hospitality businesses is forecast to fail in the next year, research published in May found. I was chatting to a gentleman in a little hole-in-the-wall coffee shop near my church, and I hadn't realized, because he'd been there for 14 years, but he'd shrunk his business down to just pretty much, a corridor on the side of a building. And he's, complaining about how much baristas are paid. $29 just to make coffee, an hour. It's getting really expensive. And, I mean, no wonder I go to the cheap-ass coffee, $2 pop from 7-Eleven. Even that going up from $1 to $2 hurt me. You can see the video I did with the special effects. Really pulled it out. So, the Brewers Association of Australia reported 373,500 full kegs had to be dumped in Australia during the course of the pandemic lockdowns as venues could not trade and perishable beer went off. Speaking on his radio show Monday morning, Ben Fordham said his network had been tracking brewery closures around the country, and 30 brewers nationwide had closed in the past 18 months. Sucks, kind of, doesn't it? I mean, we want competition. We want competition. We want variety. You don't want to just be drinking the same old piss from VB or 4X. You want a good beer. We've got the German club here in Brisbane. If you haven't been, I recommend you check it out because they've got all these wonderful Weiss beers on tap, all these other beers, all imported. And there's a smoky bacon beer. That's kind of a rite of initiation whenever we had our staff parties. We'd go to the German club, and then you'd have to do a pint of that stuff. Oh, and it makes Guinness seem light. More people will drink at home, which is bad for pubs. Well, I mean, I took the missus out and the kids out, okay, for lunch. And me doing that is much more expensive than the average person because I got so many bloody kids. But still, I mean, that's getting $200 for lunch. So it's getting up there, and it gets to the point where it's a rare special treat, a couple of times a year. But even just if I went out with just Rachel and we each got a proper, real, grown-up steak, not the lunch special, that'd be $40 plus each. And then you want a beer or a lemon lime and bitter to go with it. It's not good for people who like to connect with others over a drink, Fordham said. Spirits and Cocktails Australia Chief Executive Greg Holland said tying excise the CPI was useless. It is now abundantly clear that the automatic indexation of excise to CPI has outlived its usefulness as a revenue-raising measure. Our hospitality sector is on its knees. Another tax increase will only increase the costs burden on struggling venues. So there we go, guys. Let's have a bit of a chat about this one. I can't imagine any of you are surprised that I would argue for a reduction in these excises. Sure, that there's dangers for people over consuming alcohol, but we're adults, we're mature. Usually your body has an inbuilt warning system to let you know when you've drunk too much. When you're 20 and you're watching this, we have a few youngins watching the channel. Every 5 years it gets harder. Okay, 25, you meet up with the lads. You go out for a night out. Then that morning after lasts a bit longer than 30, goes even longer. I think by the time you're 40, it's like a day or two off after a night out. Or 40, you're probably drinking at home, watching the kids and having maybe one light beer. Suburban boredom, it's awesome. I love it. I love it. But, I mean, here you go, guys. We've got another... It's funny how they tie the taxes to CPI, but the pension, any payments that you receive are tied to these other convoluted bullshit systems, not CPI. Funny that, isn't it? Oh, well. This is why all of these things, all of this legislation, one of the Libertarian Party policies here in Australia is to have a half-life on policies. Maybe we need to have something similar for taxes. After so many years, it needs to be put up in front of the politicians again, where if it doesn't pass, it needs to be removed. Never going to happen. I mean, we still have a payroll tax from World War One, don't we? This is all bullshit. This is why we need to oppose all taxes on a matter of principle to ensure they don't start adding more and more to all of the methods they have of extracting money from people. Maybe, I mean, if you're there going, Florian, we need to have taxes to pay for hospital for all the sick people from the alcohol. Maybe you could volunteer extra money of your own to pay for that. Maybe sponsor a drink. What do you think? I don't know, guys. You've got an industry here that's in trouble. You've got costs of living that are going up through the roof. You've got a whole generation that isn't building the social skills necessary that they usually would by going out to venues like this. It's worse than we think. Or maybe I'm just an old grumpy demi-boomer. Anyway, let me know your thoughts and opinions on this one. And how much was the last carton that you bought? I mean, I still have my... What is it? Please explain rum that I'm still going through from the last live event I have. I don't drink much at all. But... it adds up. Take care, guys. Have a great day. I'll see you next time.